There you are. Hello, fellow students. I saw a thing recently about Moviedrome where it was pointed out that Alex Cox was basically given a gig on the basis of a collection of directors' introductions, and he was the only director who didn't live in London, which meant rather than film the introduction in his home, they had to go and find somewhere interesting to film the introduction. So I thought, oh, hello, that's interesting. So I thought I might do some introductions not in my home. That was Puck. This is the introduction to the collection of introductions to Julius Caesar, which became the final play in what became the first season of Simon Goes Full Shakespeare, my lockdown project. Then I took a break because I was knackered. And then I came back with Richard II. And then I did it again. And then I stopped. But I'm going to take a break on this new project. And when I come back with Richard II, this time I will hopefully have more to show for it. So what I'm saying is, yeah, this is the end of season 1 again, but season 2 might, well, hopefully, I'm saying this now, you're a witness, I'm saying this, it will continue. Hello friends, happy sunny Monday, and we continue with, well, we jump straight to the middle of the complete works of Shakespeare, the tragedy of Julius Caesar, it says here, which suggests that Julius Caesar dies at the end, but spoilers, there's a little bit more to it than that. So set in Rome, as Titus Andronicus was, but an earlier Rome, even though everyone seems a bit more civilized. This is pre-emperors, when Rome was a republic. Well, on the cusp of emperors, which is sort of the point of the play. Festival of Lupercal, which I looked up. It was a big bathing festival in February. Apparently February is the month of baths. Apparently that's what February means. Sorry as ever for all the motley nature of the editing. There's lots of weird cuts. What else? Oh yes, Roman names. You might get a bit lost because I'm playing everyone. So, Caesar and Antony. They're easy to remember, although they don't say that much in this act. And then Brutus famously, Cassius less famously, and Casca. And I think if you know Caesar, Antony, Brutus, Cassius and Casca, you'll be absolutely fine for this act. In the very first scene, we meet Flavius and Murellus, but don't worry, after scene 1, you will never see them again. We'll be using this quite a bit. The first act of Julius Caesar. Enjoy. Ta-da! Hello friends, happy Tuesday. We continue with Act 2 of Julius Caesar. Immediate apologies as ever for how roughly cut together this whole thing is. Well, I'm sight reading, and also there's a lot of voices because we have a lot of Romans in this act. Although we have left behind the dark violence of the early plays, we have now entered the period of Shakespeare's writing where there is loads of talk about contemplating suicide, and there is also there's some self-harm in this act. So warnings about that. I should have really warned you about that in the last act. The story so far, Julius Caesar, the leader of Rome, looks set to become a tyrant, not just in the classical sense of king, but in the more modern sense of getting rid of lots of, what are they called? You know, when you don't like the person who's not, what are they called? The dissidents. Cassius is leading the movement to do something about this, and he wants to get Brutus on his side because Brutus is as popular as Caesar. And Cassius is sticking lots of letters in to Brutus's window, pretending to be from other Romans. Brutus is very sympathetic to the cause. He doesn't want Rome to have a king either. I think that's it, really. Oh, and a soothsayer has warned Caesar to beware the Ides of March. And so we return to the dark and stormy night that we left in Act 1. Enjoy. Ta-da! Hello friends, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Act 3 of Julius Caesar, as crudely cut together as every other video. So warn you about that. Also I'll warn you that there will be a fatal stabbing in this act. The story so far. Julius Caesar has been told by a soothsayer to beware the Ides of March. It is now the Ides of March. That's the middle of March. There is a conspiracy afoot. None of the conspirators have had any sleep. The conspiracy is led by Cassius and headed by his friend Brutus, who is very popular with the Romans. Brutus has decided that everyone should stab Caesar very calmly, so it doesn't look like a butchery, and also that only Caesar should die, although Cassius has his fears about Mark Antony. Mark Antony also hasn't slept because he was out partying that night. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, everyone is heading to the Capitol. A chap called Artemidorus also has written a letter warning Caesar, so he's waiting to give Caesar this letter. Just a few notes. If you don't know, hart means stag. It comes up quite a bit. Plebeians means member of the public. Arte is the one I had to look up, spelled A-T-E. Arte is the Greek goddess of delusion, folly, chaos, and ruin. You might want to bear that in mind as we head into Act 3 of Julius Caesar. Ta-da! Hello friends, happy Thursday. We continue with Act 4 of Julius Caesar. As always, it's badly cut together, and another warning, there's mention of suicide. Although, given the horrors of Act 3, this is actually a surprisingly intimate act. That sounds bad. The story so far: the liberators Brutus and Cassius have successfully assassinated Caesar, but stupidly, and this is really Brutus's fault, Cassius keeps, deferring to Brutus. He deferred to Brutus when Brutus said Antony shouldn't be killed. He deferred to Brutus when Brutus said Antony should be allowed to speak over Caesar's corpse. However, the reading of that will has driven Rome into a murderous rampage, driving Brutus and Cassius from the city, which is very bad news for Brutus's wife Portia, who hasn't seen him since he rushed off to the Capitol. The Capitol, by the way, is, I guess, the parliamentary building, not the capital city of Rome. Stuck in Rome are Mark Antony with Caesar's great-nephew and heir, Octavius Caesar, which you wouldn't have got from the play, but that is who Octavius Caesar is. So he's a new character. There's lots of new characters here. You probably don't have to keep track of them. Oh, and a poet who comes up out of the blue. There's some music here. It doesn't last very long. It's described as a sleepy tune, so if you want to look something like that out to play during that part of this reading, I'll, as ever, signal it and then signal when it stops. If you want to do that, you can do that now. And now you're back. And we continue with Act 4 of Julius Caesar. Enjoy. Ta-da! Hello friends, happy Friday. Welcome to the final act of the tragedy of Julius Caesar, who died in Act 3. Battle scenes! You looking forward to those? The battle is between Antony and Octavius Caesar, and Caesar's assassins, Brutus and Cassius, who I'm rooting for, but I know what's going to happen. They're fighting at Philippi, because Brutus said it would be a good idea to come and meet Antony and Octavius's army rather than let them come to them and pick up more supporters. Cassius was against it, but what are you going to do? Brutus is in charge. When Antony calls Octavius Caesar, that's simply because Caesar is his name. Caesar had yet to become a title meaning emperor, but the fact it does gives you some idea of how this battle goes, and also a little bit of the future of Antony and Octavius's relationship, which is beautifully foreshadowed in this, I think. What else to tell you? That's it. It's Act 5. Something I looked up. Something I looked up, because Brutus and Cassius keep talking about each other as being brothers. I wasn't sure if that was a Roman thing. Cassius was actually married to Brutus's half-sister, I think. Don't know what happened to Cassius's wife. There is more suicide in this act, so I'll warn you about that. Is it a spoiler? Someone made an interesting note while watching these, that you can really see in my bumbling performance that a lot of the play is about people trying to work out what's going on off stage from other people's reports. So that's pretty prescient for this final act of Julius Caesar, as poorly cut together as ever. Thank you for bearing with all of it. Enjoy. Ta-da! And that is the end of Julius Caesar. And that is the end of this little season of Shakespeare. I'm going to take a break, but there's lots of stuff for you to look at if you haven't looked at it already. Say Titus Andronicus, Taming of the Shrew, Two Gentle Arona, Journal of the Plague Year. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting me on this. If you want to join them, there's a tip jar below. Like, subscribe, share, always open for your comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are all doing tremendously and continue to do tremendously. Take care. Bye-bye for now.